Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome, depends on if it's your first time here. Today we're going to be doing a 5-star prediction video. So I have a list of 15 books that I think I am going to be rating 5 stars. Odds are I will be wrong on at least one of them, right? Odds are I'll be wrong on at least 13 of them, but we're making this video, we're having some fun, we're chilling out, and this video is the first part of a series that I'm going to be doing. So not only am I going to be making this prediction for you right now, but I'm going to be vlogging at least most of these books so that you can see how I experience them and what I actually think about them. Now, I am generally a fantasy predominant reader. I do also read a lot of magical realism and horror and thrillers. So you're going to see a lot of those on this list, but there are going to be some books on this list that will surprise you. So let's start out with the very first one that I think is going to surprise a lot of us, which is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Sometime earlier this month, I read Recursion by Blake Crouch, and I loved it so much. The entire time I was hooked, I was fascinated, I just wanted to know more and keep reading, and I couldn't put the book down. I've heard that Dark Matter is just as good. Now, the reason why I think this one is going to be kind of iffy for me is because it is a very hard sci-fi, and I tend to not like sci-fi books. But because I've already read Recursion by the author, I think there's a much higher chance that I'll actually end up liking this one as well. So I'm going to be reading to you most of these summaries, and let's start out with this one. Jason Desmond is walking home through the chilly Chicago streets one night, looking forward to a quiet evening in front of the fireplace with his wife Daniela and their son Charlie, when his reality shatters. Are you happy with your life? Those are the last words Jason Desmond hears before the masked abductor knocks him unconscious, before he awakens to find himself strapped to a gurney surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits. Before the man he's never met smiles down on him and says, "Welcome back." In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one he knows. His wife is not his wife, his son was never born, and Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor, but a celebrated genius who has achieved something remarkable, something impossible. Is it this world or the other world that's the dream? I'm excited by that. I do really enjoy time travel, which Recursion dealt with a lot, but I also really enjoy alternate realities, which I think is what Dark Matter is going to focus on more so. So I can't wait to get my hands on this one, and I'll be listening to it. I'll tell you that much already. I'm not gonna read a hard sci-fi with my eyeballs. Next up, I have Rules for Vanishing. I'm really into this one because I've heard that it is like a weird magical realism book. That's about all I know off the top of my head about it. That's all I really need to know. In the past, I've heard other really good things about it, so why don't I read you those things right now? In the faux documentary style of the Blair Witch Project comes the campfire story of a missing girl, a vengeful ghost, and the girl who's determined to find her sister at all cost. Once a year, the path appears in the forest and Lucy Gallows beckons. Who is brave enough to find her, and who won't make it out of the woods? It's been exactly 1 year since Sarah's sister Becca disappeared, and high school life has been far from settled back to normal. With her sister gone, Sarah doesn't know whether her former friends no longer like her or are scared of her, and the days of eating alone at lunch have started to blend together. When a mysterious text message invites Sarah and her estranged friends to play the game and find local ghost legend Lucy Gallows, Sarah is sure this is the one way to find Becca before she's lost forever. There's a little bit more, but we're gonna stop there because I want to leave some suspense because, oh my goodness, that sounds so good. Like, it's combining magical realism with horror with, like, I don't know, weirdness. The next book on this list is one that I've been meaning to read for so long, like literally so long. I've put it on a few other lists before on my channel, and now I have no choice but to read it, and that is The Sword of Gan, or Kaigan. I'm gonna say Kagan because no one's told me otherwise. I think the literal only reason why I keep pushing off reading this book is because I don't own it, so I literally just need to buckle down after this video is finished and buy the audiobook because that's how I'd like to read it, and then have it so that there's no more excuses. But unfortunately, I do play bingo every single month, so that means I will not be buying any books unless I can earn them. A mother struggling to repress her violent past, a son struggling to grasp his violent future, a father blind to the danger that threatens them all. That's all I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna tell you any more about the book. I know that it's a mother-based fantasy story, and I love those. Next up, we have one that is not published yet, so that's kind of why I haven't read it. It's literally the only reason I haven't read it. The day it comes out, I will be reading all of it, because that's what I did with the second one. And this is Alecto the Ninth. This is the sequel to Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth, which are the first two books in the trilogy. So in Gideon the Ninth, we are following these two characters, Gideon and Harrowhark. So Gideon is a soldier type, and she is basically a slave on this planet, the ninth planet. Now, Harrowhark is the princess of this planet, and she is called to this puzzle mission clue thing on a different planet where each of the planets is going to send two representatives, their leader who is going to study and try to solve this puzzle, and a soldier to protect them. Now, Harrowhark promises Gideon that if Gideon goes with her, that Harrowhark will let Gideon go at the end of it. So Gideon goes with her reluctantly because Gideon wants nothing to do with the ninth planet, and she gets to be a badass. Now, the thing is, both of these women are lesbians. Harrowhark is a necromancer, and they hate each other. They absolutely hate each other. There's a lot of humor, there's a lot of raunchiness, there's a lot of mystery, there are so many twists and turns. I've actually read Gideon twice and rated it 5 stars both times. Then I read Harrow the Ninth, which I also rated 5 stars. Harrow the Ninth picks up right where Gideon left off. There's so many twists and turns in this book, and I can't even tell you anything about it because it will 100% spoil Gideon the Ninth for you, but it left off on a huge cliffhanger, and I can't wait to get to the third one. I'm not actually sure when it comes out, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't come out until 2022. So this will be one that doesn't make it on my shelf anytime soon, unfortunately. Next up, I'm really excited about Empress of Salt and Fortune. This is a short story, and I generally don't rate short stories high, but I have recently noticed that something I really like is stories within a story. So you have your main character who is telling a story to another character, and that's the story we're reading. I don't know why that does it for me because I really don't like letter books, like books that are written in letter format. So Empress of Salt and Fortune is just like that. It's a story within a story, and it is based on Chinese folklore. So the summary on Goodreads says, a young royal from the far north is sent south for a political marriage in an empire reminiscent of imperial China. Her brothers are dead, her armies and her war mammoths long defeated and caged behind their borders. Alone and sometimes reviled, she must choose her allies carefully. Rabbit, a handmaiden, sold by her parents to the palace for the lack of 5 baskets of dye, befriends the emperor's lonely new wife and gets more than she bargained for. That sounds so good to me, and it's very short. I believe it's like just around 100 pages long, so this is one I can knock out pretty quickly. Next up, we have another pretty short book, and this is Foe. This is by, I can't think of the author's name off the top of my head right now, but this is by the same author who wrote I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I loved. I really, really loved. There were a few things that kept me from rating it a 5 star, specifically the ending. I wasn't a huge fan, but I did rate the book 4.75 out of 5 stars. Going to give his other book a shot. Now, he did write Foe, I believe, before I'm Thinking of Ending Things, so it might not be as well done, but I'm hoping that he'll have the same reasons why I loved I'm Thinking of Ending Things in this book, which the reasons I loved I'm Thinking of Ending Things are because it was super creepy, super unsettling. You're not even like given a plot to make you comfortable in like the setting of the story. It had the scariest moment that I have ever read in a book. If you've read it, it's the scene when the girl's walking down the hallway at school. That's all I'll say. So the summary says, we don't get visitors, not out here. We never have. In Ian Rain's second haunting... Okay, well, first off, it's his second book, so I was wrong when I said it was his first book. And then second off, I cannot say the word philosophical properly, but there we go. I just said it. Puzzle of a novel set in the near future. Junior and Henrietta live in a comfortable, solitary life on their farm, far from the city lights, but in close quarters with each other. One day, a stranger from the city arrives with alarming news. Junior has been randomly selected to travel far away from the farm, very far away. The most unusual part, arrangements have been already made so that when he leaves, Henrietta won't have a chance to miss him because she won't be left alone. Not even for a moment. Henrietta will have company, familiar company. Told in Reed's sharp and evocative style, Foe examines the nature of domestic relationships, self-determination, and what it means to be or not to be a person. That sounds so good. I'm honestly not sure if we're going to be following more of Junior's like storyline as he gets taken away, or more of Henrietta's storyline as she's forced into this like basically study, it kind of sounds like, but I am there for either of those storylines, and I kind of assume we're going to get a little bit of both. So this is also a pretty short book. It's about 260 pages, and I'm so excited to be getting to it. I cannot wait. Next up, we are going to be naming The Deep. What's his name? Oh my god, I know it. It's Nick Cutter. The Deep by Nick Cutter. I got it. You just had to give me a second. So this is the author who wrote The Troop. The Troop was one of my favorite books of 2020. It didn't actually make it in the video because I made that video near the end of December thinking that there was no way in the last like 3 days of December I was going to read a new favorite book, and then I did, and I really regret that I couldn't actually put it into the filming of the video because it was probably in my top 3 favorite books of last year, and I read 200 books last year. It had some of my favorite things in it. It was a horror about young children, it had body horror, and it had an open ending. I understand that some of those things really upset a lot of people, but I love them. So I'm super hoping that The Deep, which is going to encompass one more thing that I'm really afraid of, will just do it for me. That one more thing is the ocean. So it's described as an utterly terrifying novel where the abyss meets the shining. A strange plague called Gits is decimating humanity on a global scale. It causes people to forget small things at first, like where they left their keys, then the not so small things like how to drive or the letters of the alphabet. Then their bodies forget how to function involuntarily, and there's no cure. But now, far below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, deep in the Marianas Trench, there's another word I can't say very well. Heretofore unknown substance, hailed as ambrosia, has been discovered. A universal hero from initial reports. It may be just the key to a universal cure. In order to study this phenomenon, a special research lab, the Tritius, has been built 8 miles under the sea's surface, but now the station is incognito and it's up to a brave few to descend through the lightless fathoms in hopes of unraveling the mysteries lurking at those crushing depths, and perhaps to encounter an evil blacker than anyone could have possibly imagined. Oh boy, does that sound good to me. First off, body horror right there. We got the plague going on. Second off, ocean. Don't like that, but in a good way. Second off, memory problems. Did he write this book for me? Like, this book has all of my triggers in it. Like, The Troop was one of the few books that I've ever read that has physically made me nauseous multiple times. Like, I was so nauseous while reading The Troop, I couldn't even drink water because I didn't want anything near my mouth. I'm hoping that The Deep at least has something similar to that. It has such a low rating on Goodreads. It has a 3.38, but I'm not scared because I'm pretty sure The Troop had like a 3.5. I oftentimes, when it comes to horror, love the books that no one else really seems to love. God, I'm just thinking about this book makes me want to go start it tonight. I should go see if my library has it available. It's available. I'm checking it out right now. Next up, we have Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie. Now, I haven't read a Joe Abercrombie book yet, so I don't actually know if I'm a fan of his writing style, but I do own The Blade itself, and I'm planning on getting to that very shortly. The reason why I'm putting this one on my shelf versus any of his other works is because I've heard that Best Served Cold has better representation, especially with his female characters, and I'm always looking for well-represented fantasy books, so I don't know anything about this book. I've been told not to look at the summary online until I read The Blade itself, so I will not be going and reading it to you all, but I have high expectations going into this book. My library has it. I'm going to be knocking out The Blade itself and then getting to this one shortly after. I'm really excited about it. It's a high epic fantasy about women. Next up, we have one that if you've been following my channel for a little bit, you should not be surprised by, and that is The Empire's Ruin by Brian Staveley. Boy, did I love the Unhewn Throne series. I rated books 1 and 2 5 stars, and then book 3 4 stars. I am about to read Skullsworn, which is like the novella in between the two series, and then this book, The Empire's Ruin, comes out in 2 weeks, July 6th. So I am very excited to be getting to it when it comes out. I have already pre-ordered it. I cannot wait. I can't tell you what this book is about because I have read the summary and it spoils some of the ending of The Last Mortal Bond, which is the 3rd book in the series. So I'm not going to be doing that to you, but I do know that there's going to be some manipulation, some cunning, some old characters coming back, and I do know that we are going to be ruining the government that we have set up in the first 3 books. So the first book, we are following these 3 siblings who are the children of the emperor, and they are all adult siblings and they are being trained for different things. Then one day the emperor dies and we're kind of left in this confusion where the government's trying to figure out which child should inherit the throne next, the politician, the monk, or the soldier. They're all being chased and hunted and trying to be killed by this one general who was left behind by the father, and there are these crazy god creatures that are coming out of nowhere. This is an extremely dark adult fantasy series. Listen to me when I tell you it is dark. There is on-page multiple torture scenes where you are not left to your own imagination. I love that. I love the feeling of being uncomfortable. I like when books kind of push my limits a little bit. I enjoy it. I'll be the first to admit it. I haven't found my limit yet, but I've definitely gotten close. So I can't wait to be getting to this one. I'm especially excited because this one is going to be a lot shorter than The Last Mortal Bond. I felt like my reasoning for rating The Last Mortal Bond 4 stars was because it was so freaking long, and this one is about half the length of that. Next up, we have a book that doesn't even have a title yet, and is the 3rd book in the 6th World series by Rebecca Roanhorse. So the first book is Trail of Lightning, and the second book is Storm of Locusts. Now, I haven't rated either of these books 5 stars yet because I truly believe that Rebecca Roanhorse is getting better with every single book that she writes. Now, this is also the author of Black Sun, and I didn't absolutely love Black Sun as much as I thought I was going to, but I really enjoyed it, and I think I rated it either a 4 or 4.5. Now, Trail of Lightning, I think I rated, I should just go on Goodreads and tell you because I'm just guessing at this point. So Trail of Lightning, I rated 3 stars. Storm of Locusts, I rated 4 stars. And Black Sun, I also rated 4 stars. Now, the reason why I am putting the 6th World 3rd book on this series is because when I read Trail of Lightning, I felt like the book had so much potential, and I could see that the author had great ideas and great characters and great plots, but was a debut author and needed to just write some more to be able to get into the place where I could give her a 5 star for a book. After I read Storm of Locusts, and I felt like it got so much better than the first book, I knew that I was right about that, and I knew that she was going to be just exceeding expectations as she continued to write. Now, the reason why I didn't rate Black Sun a 5 star is because even though I really enjoyed the book, I actually enjoyed the world and the characters a lot more in Storm of Locusts and Trail of Lightning. I just think that we have this unlikable main character, and she's just written so well in this way where you know you're not supposed to like her, and because of that, I kind of do like her a little bit, not gonna lie. There's this crazy cool magic system that encompasses Navajo beliefs and religions and culture, and there are so many wonderful characters represented, not just in the Native American community, but also in the LGBTQ plus community. And we get to see our main character, who is a monster hunter. Basically, this is a post-apocalyptic world where monsters have come to life and she hunts them down and kills them for people. And it's great. I highly recommend. The next few I am not going to be able to tell you a ton about, but that's why I have Goodreads open, right? So the next one up is A Lesson in Vengeance, and I'm really excited about this. I think this is one of the first YAs on this list. That's a lie. That's flat out a lie. So this book is not out yet. It'll be coming out August 3rd of 2021, and I am so freaking excited about it. First, look at the cover. Beautiful. So second, the first line says for fans of Wilder Girls and Ninth House. Those sound like two things I want combined together. I don't think I gave either of those books exactly a 5-star, but I think maybe I gave Ninth House a 5-star and I gave Wilder Girls like a 4.5. Moving on comes a dark, twisty, atmospheric thriller about a boarding school, love that, haunted, I love that, by its history of witchcraft, loved that, and two girls dangerously close to digging up the past. Felicity Morrow is back at Dalloway School, perched in the Catskills Mountain. The century-old ivy-covered campus was a home until the tragic death of her girlfriend. Love that. Now, after a year away, she returns to graduate. She even has her old room in Godwin House, the exclusive dormitory rumored to be haunted by the spirits of 5 Dalloway students. Girls some say were witches. Okay, I'm not going to keep going because there's a lot more in here and I don't want to spoil everything for you, but eventually it goes into saying that there's another girl who starts up. It's her first year and she's a prodigy. She's trying to figure things out, and the two of them start to unravel this dark history about Dalloway itself. I am so psyched about this book. In fact, it makes me want to go on NetGalley and see if they have ARCs available already. Next up is League of Liars, a book I can't tell you much about. This book doesn't even have a cover, doesn't have a release date. It's predicted to be released in February of 2022, but the fact that it doesn't have a cover makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm so excited because already it has some of my trigger points in the beginning, which is in this fantasy thriller for teens, so it's a group charged with murder and the illegal use of magic, love that, band together to devise the ultimate jailbreak. Oh my god, seriously? Perfect for fans of Six of Crows and How to Get Away with Murder. Sorry if the camera shifted. My battery died and I charged it just enough to get through the last little bit of this, so hopefully it won't die again. Let's go quickly. So I'm gonna stop reading you the summary of League of Liars, and the author wrote like a little comment and I'm just gonna finish up by reading you that. So she says, I have a new book coming out in the fall of 2021. League of Liars is set in a dark magical prison with a crew of misfit criminals, all claiming to be innocent, despite the overwhelming evidence. But in a world where reality can be distorted by magic, how can you tell the truth from the lies? It features multiple POVs with letters, diagrams, and illustrations. I am so excited to share this book with you. And I am so excited to be reading it, Astrid. We got 3 more, so stick with me real quick. Next up, am I crooked now? Next up, I have Skin of the Sea, which I'm so excited about because it is a West African inspired mermaid story, if I'm understanding this correctly. So it's for fans of Children of Blood and Bone meets The Little Mermaid. Now, first off, I do want to say I hate when book summaries start off with for fans of blank and blank because it's always a letdown. It always is, but I get it. They're trying to give you like a quick, like eye-catching grab, but like, can we stop with that? In which a mermaid takes on the gods themselves. A way to survive, a way to serve, and a way to save. Simi prayed to the gods once. Now she serves them as a Mimi Wata. Probably saying that wrong. I apologize. A mermaid, collecting the souls of those who die at sea and blessing their journey back home. But when a living boy is thrown overboard, Simi does the unthinkable. She saves his life, going against an ancient decree, and punishment awaits those who dare to defy it. To protect the other Mamiwata, Simi must journey to the Supreme Creator to make amends, but something is amiss. There's the boy she rescued who knows more than he should, and something is shadowing Simi. Something that would rather see her fail. Danger lurks at every turn. Next up, I have Year of the Reaper. Now, if I were to make a prediction right now about books that I'm adding to this list that I think might let me down the most, it would be this one. Because I have not read a book previously by this author, although I have plans to read other books by this author. It is like on the line for me where either I could love it or I could hate it. And so it's just like the most unsure that I am about a book. So this is, before an ambush of enemy soldiers, Lord Cassia was an engineer's apprentice on a mission entrusted by the king. But when plague sweeps over the land, leaving countless dead and devastating the kingdom, even Cass's title cannot save him from a rotting prison cell and a merciless sickness. 3 years later, Cass wants only to return to his home in the mountains and forget past horrors. But home is not what he remembers. His castle has become a refugee for the royal court, and they have brought their enemies with them. When an assassin targets those closest to the queen, Cass is drawn into a search for the killer, one that leads him to form an unexpected bond with a brilliant young historian named Lena. Cass and Lena soon realize who is behind the attacks is far less important than why. They must look to the past, following the trail of terrible secrets, one they could threaten the kingdom's newfound peace and plunge it back into war. Oh my goodness, it's only 350 pages. I'm really confused how she's going to fit all of that into it. So the final book that I will be adding to this challenge is Rebecca. Okay, my battery's flashing. Let's do this really quickly. So I read Don't Tell a Soul recently, and I ended up rating it 5 stars, and that book was based on Rebecca. And when I read that book, a friend of mine told me that she absolutely loved Rebecca. It has like haunted house vibes. It has like, I don't know if I'm going insane or if it's something paranormal vibes, but it sounds so freaking good to me. Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again. The novel begins in Monte Carlo, where our heroine is swept off her feet by the dashing widower Maxim de Winter and his sudden proposal of marriage. Orphaned and working as a lady's maid, she can barely believe her luck. It is only when they arrived at this massive country estate that she realizes how large a shadow his late wife will cast over their lives, presented her with a lingering evil that threatens to destroy their marriage from beyond the grave. I'm gonna leave it at that. I had more to say about it, but I'm honestly really scared that this is gonna cut me off at any second. Let me know down below if you have any books that you think are going to be 5-star predictions for you. Well, I did not beat the battery, and I don't remember exactly what I was in the middle of saying, so let me know if you have any 5-star predictions. Did I say that already? Let me know if you think any of these books are going to actually be 5-star predictions for me, or if you are excited about any of these books, or if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them, because I'd be so excited to know. And if you've already read one of the books that haven't been published yet, how? This has been fun. Like, comment, subscribe, do your thing. You're awesome. Stay that way. I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.